War Sovereign Soaring the Heavens Chapter 759. After Duan Ling Tian swallowed down a cup of blazer wine and spoke such casual words, the gazes of many of the customers on the 7th floor became slightly strange. This fellow is actually comparing the blazer wine with other wines? Moreover, he dared to swallow it in one go? After all, with the strength of the blazer wine and its special burning property, even an ordinary void interpretation stage martial artist didn't dare swallow it directly. Truly an ignorant fellow. He actually dares to swallow down a cup of blazer wine in one go. He's simply courting death. An azure-clothed middle-aged man that sat at a tablet nearby Duan Ling Tian laughed in ridicule when he saw Duan Ling Tian's actions, and he couldn't refrain from mocking. Based on my estimations, his internal organs have surely suffered a heavy injury now, and he's only forcefully enduring before that woman and doesn't dare reveal it. Truly an idiot that values his face over his life. Another blue-clothed middle-aged man that sat with the azure-clothed middle-aged man couldn't help but add on. The gaze he shot at Duan Ling Tian was filled with contempt, and his face even had an expression that said, "Kid, stop acting, I've seen through you since long ago. Big brother Duan, have you really been injured?" Feng Tianwu didn't have the time to get angry when she heard the sarcastic ridicule of the two middle-aged men and looked at Duan Ling Tian with a worried expression as she spoke anxiously. "Big brother Duan, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. If only I told you how the blazer wine ought to be drunk since the beginning. It's all my fault." Duan Ling Tian's gaze that was slightly cold and indifferent flashed past the two middle-aged men, and when it moved onto Feng Tianwu, it transformed into a warm gaze. "Don't worry, I'm fine. Tianwu, if I'm not wrong, there's another wine that can be ordered here. That wine is called the glaze wine, right?" Duan Ling Tian recalled the other blue-colored half of the light barrier that appeared when the inscription formation was activated. Feng Tianwu heaved a sigh of relief when she heard Duan Ling Tian was fine, and she couldn't help but be slightly shocked when she heard what Duan Ling Tian had said. "Big brother Duan, you. How do you know? Could it be that you've come to this ice flame pavilion before?" Feng Tianwu knew that her question was unnecessary right after she spoke of it. Based on Duan Ling Tian's appearance earlier, it indicated that he'd utterly not come to this ice flame pavilion in the past. "Give me a jug of glaze wine." Duan Ling Tian lightly smiled as he spoke to Feng Tianwu. Feng Tianwu nodded, then she withdrew 10 mid-grade origin stones before placing them into the small holes, and along with the 10 origin stones flickering with a white light, the inscription formation was activated once more. The light barrier that was half red and half blue appeared once more. This time, Feng Tianwu pressed her hand down onto the blue side of the barrier. Instantly, another tray that carried a wine jug and wine cup arose from the center of the table, and then it was pushed by Feng Tianwu to stop before Duan Ling Tian. "Big brother Duan, this glaze wine and blazer wine are two extremes. Its strength isn't inferior to the blazer wine, so you must not drink it like before." Feng Tianwu warned hurriedly. Duan Ling Tian smiled and didn't reply. He naturally knew that the strength of the glaze wine wasn't inferior to the blazer wine. The glaze wine was similar to the blazer wine and contained a medicinal effect that was similar to a spirit fruit, yet was inferior to a spirit fruit. If drinking down the blazer wine was said to be like swallowing a ball of scorching flames, then drinking down the glaze wine was undoubtedly like swallowing a mouthful of bone-piercingly cold water. Moreover, the extremely cold water was different to ordinary ice water. Duan Ling Tian grabbed up the wine jug and poured a cup of glaze wine for himself. The glaze wine was so clear that the bottom of the cup was visible, yet it emitted cold air that was sufficient to cause one to feel fear from the bottom of one's heart. Subsequently, under the gazes of everyone present, Duan Ling Tian finished drinking the glaze wine in one gulp. Instantly, Duan Ling Tian's crimson-red face was covered in a layer of frost. Duan Ling Tian's cheek instantly tensed up. At that moment, he felt cold energy pour into his body, and it was icy cold to the bone as if he'd been frozen into a popsicle. His internal organs, flesh, blood, and meridians were almost frozen into ice. Duan Ling Tian didn't dare dally and hurriedly used the special method in the memories of the Rebirth Martial Emperor to utilize his origin energy to protect his internal organs, flesh, and meridians. But even then, when the glaze wine converged with the blazer wine in his stomach, it seemed to have caused a type of reaction, causing it to surge. Instantly, Duan Ling Tian felt as if blades were slicing up his stomach, and his body even couldn't refrain from trembling as cold sweat broke out from his forehead. Only when his origin energy poured in and covered the glaze wine and blazer wine according to the method within the Rebirth Martial Emperor's memories did Duan Ling Tian feel the pain in his stomach ease up. At that instant earlier, even though it was satisfying, but it felt like he was playing with his life at the end. I was careless. If I used the Rebirth Martial Emperor's method right at the beginning and then drank the wine, there would surely not be any problems. Duan Ling Tian returned to his senses and thought in his heart. Big brother Duan, are you all right? Feng Tianwu was stunned when she saw Duan Ling Tian swallowing the glaze wine in one go once again, and she asked anxiously. She was unable to wrap her head around it as she'd already specially warned Duan Ling Tian, yet why didn't Duan Ling Tian listen to her? Isn't he just playing with his own body's health? I'm fine. Duan Ling Tian smiled. But his extremely unsightly expression that hadn't eased up and was covered in both a red and pale color caused others to find it difficult to believe he was fine. I can be said to have widened my knowledge today. I truly never imagined that there's actually such an idiot in this world. For the sake of showing off before a woman, he actually doesn't care about being injured. The azure-clothed middle-aged man that ridiculed Duan Ling Tian earlier spoke out once more. Kid, watch out, perhaps you'll lose your life before you get the girl. At that time, you can't even die happily before a woman. Ha ha ha. The other blue-clothed middle-aged man couldn't help but burst out in laughter as he finished mocking. Big brother Duan, Are you really all right? Feng Tianwu asked once more. Duan Lingtian's expression that was unsightly to the extreme at this moment caused her to be unable to help from feeling nervous and perturbed. I'm really fine. Duan Lingtian withdrew his cold and indifferent gaze from the two middle-aged men, and then he smiled to Feng Tianwu. Meanwhile, his expression finally recovered slowly. Kid, you're still acting at a time like this? Perhaps this woman by your side is unable to see through those little tricks of yours, but I've seen through it since long ago. The azure-clothed middle-aged man seemed to oppose Duan Lingtian as he ridiculed a step further. Idiot, if I were you, I'd find an empty place without people to spit out the blood. Otherwise, if you delay for some time longer, it'll be useless even if you consume a grade 4 great recovery pill. The blue-clothed middle-aged man echoed with the azure-clothed middle-aged man and ridiculed. Feng Tianwu was the closest to Duan Lingtian, and when she saw Duan Lingtian's expression recover, she knew that Duan Lingtian was fine as he'd said, and she couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. When she heard the two middle-aged men ridicule Duan Lingtian once more, her beautiful face was instantly covered with rage as she instantly stood up to glare angrily at the two people. You too. But Feng Tianwu hadn't finished speaking when she was interrupted by Duan Lingtian. Tianwu, sit down and drink your wine. Probably. They're just two clowns, there's no need to be so angry with them. Duan Lingtian's words caused the seventh floor to become quiet. Subsequently, it was like a fuse had been lit, causing the two middle-aged men to completely explode out. Kid, say it one more time if you dare. Who did you call a clown? Kid, it looks to me that you feel your life is too long and you don't want to live anymore. The two middle-aged men were completely enraged, and the robes they wore fluttered without any wind as if they were ready to teach Duan Lingtian a lesson at any moment. Duan Lingtian paid no attention to them instead, and he slowly stood up before raising up the wine jug that held the glaze wine and directly opened its cover. Under the gazes that were filled with curiosity from the crowd including Feng Tianwu, Duan Lingtian opened the cover of the wine jug that held the blazer wine, and then under the numerous dumbstruck gazes from the surroundings, Duan Lingtian directly poured the glaze wine in the jug into the jug that contained the blazer wine. Whoosh! 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 Instantly, the two types of wine that were mixed together had undergone a strange reaction, causing them to boil. They didn't combine together, and instead occupied half of the wine jug and didn't give in to the other. A scorching aura and icy cold aura soared up and caused the people present to feel a chill run down their spines. Since the Ice Flame Pavilion was established, it wasn't that there was no one that drank wine like this, but they mostly paid the price of a heavy injury. Even a void interpretation stage expert wouldn't dare rashly try drinking like this. Big Brother Duan. At the beginning, Feng Tianwu hadn't discerned what Duan Lingtian wanted to do when she saw Duan Lingtian holding up the wine jug that contained two types of strong wines that were mixed together, and when she reacted to it, it was already too late. She saw Duan Ling Tian alight the wine jugs, opening with his mouth with the raise of his hand. Subsequently, Duan Ling Tian directly swallowed the two types of wines that were combined together into his stomach. The blazer wine that was scorching like flames and the glaze wine that was icy cold to the extreme underwent a union of ice and flame within Duan Ling Tian's body. At this moment, even if Duan Ling Tian was prepared since long ago and utilized the method the Rebirth Martial Emperor had discovered to protect his internal organs, flesh, and meridians, he still felt his meridians shake. Subsequently, his internal organs started throbbing as well. All of this caused Duan Ling Tian's face to flush red once more, and then Duan Ling Tian's face underwent a change and seemed to be covered in a layer of frost, causing it to be extremely pale. Red and white flickered indeterminately and unceasingly on Duan Ling Tian's face. Gulp. Gulp. For a time, only the sound of Duan Ling Tian swallowing down mouthfuls of the blazer wine and glaze wine that was mixed together remained in the extremely quiet seventh floor, whereas, the origin energy in Duan Ling Tian's body that protected his internal organs and meridians were resisting the baptism of the vast strength of the wines now. At this moment, at the same time that the insides of Duan Ling Tian's body shook, he could clearly feel that his origin energy was being ceaselessly tempered to the point of becoming extremely pure.